Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you. Jay Tust, KTVB Sports Director, and myself, BJ Rains, coming at you from the James Kitchen and Bar. Excited to be here again. We just watched practice for about 45 minutes or so. We got interviews coming up in a little bit, but wanted to jump on over and discuss what's going on for our regularly scheduled Tuesday appearance with Jay. And as I said, we are at the James. They open at 11 o'clock. We got a new angle today, Jay, so folks can see the bar here and get a little different feel for what the James has to offer. Awesome spot, full menu, full restaurant, cocktail bar. They got happy hour from 3 to 5. And Barry and Perry and the whole crew at the James just make it a welcoming place to come hang out and have a beverage. So hopefully folks are, if you're looking for a spot to come have a bite to eat for lunch or dinner or even brunch on the weekends, they open at 11 a.m. every day. Sundays they open at 10. And I can't think of a better spot, Jay, on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 than to be out on the patio with one of these big screen TVs and a James old-fashioned in your hand watching kickoff Boise State and Washington.
I mean, I can't think of just a better place to be right now because it's college football weekend, right? Like, it's everybody getting kicked off this week. The energy is real. Andy Avalos and Spencer Danielson and Bush Hamdan were all a little extra fired up, it seemed like, at the press conference yesterday. And a big reason why is, the ultimate judgment day is almost here, right? We have been talking and speculating for 8 months now, almost 9 months now, about what this team is going to look like, how they're going to do, who's going to step up, who's going to shine. And finally on Saturday, our opinions and our guesses no longer matter. It's the players that are going to put a product on the field, and that is what will be the true evaluator. That is what we will get to judge. And so I'm just excited to get up to Seattle and do this. I think I was working late last night, BJ. You were texting me about the show.
At like midnight, we were both still working.
Came in after midnight, but at that point in time too, I think I hit you back with, man, I'm actually still kind of the adrenaline's starting to kick in. It's starting to pump a little bit because game week is here, and I am excited about it. Beautiful Saturday afternoon scheduled in Seattle.
78 degrees and sunny now, it looks like.
It could not be more perfect for an afternoon kickoff that time of year. 78 too, like people might think that might be a little chilly here because we're used to living in the 90s, but 78 in Seattle, I promise you it will be absolutely perfect.
We had a problem with our Facebook feed, so I was making sure we got the show out there on Facebook. So I apologize for looking down. I'm not texting here. I was trying to get that going. Yeah. But anything stand out to you from the Andy Avalos press conference? We had our first Monday Andy Avalos press conference, the first depth chart released. If you do have a question for Jay or myself or a comment, get it in the ICCU YouTube chat, and we will get to that shortly. But Jay, the first depth chart release, the first press conference, anything stand out from yesterday?
Yeah, I think the one thing that stood out to me is Garrett Curran, a sixth-year senior who has a lot of experience playing all over the offensive line, is going to get the start at center. I think it's fair to say that we saw a different body. Mason Randolph there to start fall camp. I mean, our video showed it. For one way or the other, for one reason or another, though, it's Garrett Curran that will be the starter against the University of Washington. Roger Roger Carrion is going to, I was going to almost said make his debut, but he actually has started a football game for this Boise State football team. It happened as he was a true freshman last year. It was at UTEP. We'll forget about that game. I know Raj didn't have the best game, probably what you would expect out of a true freshman starting on the road, but they love this kid's potential. They love his ceiling, and now his time has arrived. He'll be one of the members on that starting line, so things have just kind of sorted out up front.
I was we'll get back to your other thoughts, but I was watching Roger at practice today, and I'm just thinking to myself, if I were in those shoes, you mentioned the UTEP start, so I guess it's not technically his first start, but that was the only game he played in, I believe, last year, or at least had significant action on the line, at least. Maybe a special teams play here or there, but didn't play a lot last year other than that game. And you think about 70,000 at Husky Stadium waiting for you, and some of the defensive linemen that Washington has, and He's got to be an interesting week for him. I'm sure he's excited, but he'd be lying probably if he wasn't a little nervous.
One thing how long? What season is this for you? 11.
This is my 11th season. My very first game, as we talked about, actually covering this team was the game in 2013 at Seattle.
We're going to skip over the outcome of that contest because that was about as forgettable as a game gets during your tenure here.
Yeah.
But when we've been covering this team for so long, and when they used to travel out east and they played Ole Miss and they played Michigan State and they played Georgia and all these teams, there was a kind of a noticeable gap there when it came to the size, right? And it was almost like a built-in excuse. And right now, man, you look at the average size of a Boise State offensive lineman versus the average size of a Washington offensive lineman. I know those two units aren't going head-to-head during the game, but I still think it just adds a little bit of perspective to the situation. Believe it or not, Boise State's offensive line, their starting offensive line, is just a hair bigger than UW's starting offensive line on average. And so, they got a lot of experience. Cade Beresford, 6th-year senior. Ben Dooley is a 5th-year guy that still has a couple years of eligibility left due to COVID. Garrett Curran, a 6th-year guy. So, they have Cage Casey and Roger Carrion, 2 redshirt freshmen that they're going to break in on the offensive line. But they do have, a lot of experience coming back. And I'm just excited to see how that group holds up. You kind of get a feel, BJ, at least I don't want to put words in your mouth. I kind of get a feel that they have some more confidence in that unit. I think that how they play versus Mountain West teams might look a little different than how they play against the University of Washington.
Sure.
We'll see. But if that group gets off to a good start on Saturday, that's a massive step forward. I'm going to say not only for the season, but for this program as Andy Avalos tries to bring that physicality, that depth back to both sides of that defensive and offensive line.
And I know Friday we're still working out the time because we're both going to be traveling and stuff, but Friday we can get more into the actual breakdown of this matchup. But someone, Rudy did ask about the corners, and he says tall task on Saturday, especially if we cannot create pressure. Need to make Penix move to his right in the pocket at least. What do you make about just that wide receiver core at Washington against the Markel Reed, who played in one game last year, Jalen Clark, who has one career start, and then Kanohi Kaniho, who is one of the more experienced players on the team, but not the biggest corner. This is he mentions tall task, and I think that's putting it lightly.
I know Jalen Ramsey's hurt right now, but the Dolphins' starting cornerbacks are Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. 2 of the best in the NFL. I would almost be worried if those guys were the starting cornerbacks for Boise State on Saturday. Maybe that's going a little bit far, but the talent that the University of Washington has, not only at quarterback, and we've talked about that a ton, we've probably overlooked the fact that they are really, really good when it comes to their wide receiver room. They are talented. They are deep. They have guys that can go get it. And I don't think that they're just blowing smoke up anybody when they were talking about it yesterday. Spencer Danielson, they've got 3 guys that at wide receiver that could play in the NFL one day. And they very well could. UW has put more than a few wide receivers in the NFL, over the last decade or so.
JR saying revenge time, same feeling as the win against Georgia. Let's see. Dayton says he's here for the Tust stats. Let's see here. Don't know about all you. Can't wait for Saturday. Know UW has a lot coming back, but a really good feeling about the Broncos.
That's what's funny, man. That's what the best thing about this time of year, Dayton. We all get to lean into all the optimism, and this is kind of like the final week.
Doesn't that change there? I feel like all the fans on Twitter, I feel like I'm seeing more. Boise State's going to shock the world, as we're getting a couple days till kickoff.
It is unfiltered optimism at this point in time. You just lean into it, believe whatever you want to believe. because anything is possible. We've watched a lot of practice, and I would be lying if I could tell you or pinpoint what I think is going to happen on Saturday. And so maybe they do come out and shock the world. It would be so cool if they did. It would be so cool if they did. And mostly just because, there have been a couple of cool upset wins, I would say, over these last couple of years. Obviously, Andy Avalos, his first year, took the Broncos down to Provo, and they beat a 10th-ranked Cougar team pretty handily. They have had a couple of those types of wins, but, man, this one would feel different. This one would feel like BJ, it just feels like it would take one. It would take one win like this to make you go, hey, the Broncos are back. They've been waiting for that tipping point. And I think Bronco Nation has been waiting for that tipping point.
Wasn't BYU ranked 10th or close to that when they went down? It's a totally different team. That ranking was a little probably I bet this Washington team would easily be a better team or beat that BYU team. But they went on the road against a round number 10, 11 team and beat them pretty handily.
They were 10th. And I'm almost positive here, but it was their highest ranked true road victory over a Power 5 opponent in program history. It was a big victory for them. And so I know that the Va-Tech game, I know that they were ranked 10th at the time, I believe, but that was also a neutral site game.
I actually watched that game the other day. I don't know why you're on YouTube and random stuff comes up, and
awesome game,
I saw it pop up, and I watched a good majority of that game. And that entrance that Virginia Tech had, and you got Brent Musburger on the call, and then Herb Street, and then the end of the pregame interview with Heather Cox. Chris Peterson says, ready or not, here we come, or something. Yeah. And then they just made that last second drive, and it would be it's you're. I think it's just what is Andy Avalos 18-9 or just the record the last couple of years? I know 17-9.
Yeah, it's not great.
I know that's kind of
Boise State standards.
Yeah, and I know that some people kind of maybe someone was saying last night, or maybe it was Mike Sanford on the show with Johnny, like these are like why do no fans think that like they're not like these are the games that Boise State's always won and always competed in? But I feel like the last couple of years, the UTEP loss, some of these games where they've kind of stubbed their toe where you wouldn't expect it, just makes it in your mind a little bit harder to honestly think they can go up there and win this game. But crazier things have certainly happened, man.
I like their chances on offense.
By the way, you have a glare on your face, so while you're talking, I'm going to go over and see if I can fix the lights. So keep talking first.
I hope that I don't have to eat my words here, but it just seems like they're pretty connected right now on offense. There's not a whole lot of question marks. There's not a whole lot of hoping, wondering of what's going to happen on Saturday. And so it's I'm pretty excited specifically of what they're gonna put forth on offense. Talon Green, he seems confident. The dude physically looks unbelievable. George Halani is this cool, calming presence that is ready to have a monster season. Ashton Genty is just this energizer bunny type guy that you feel is going to just do. I guarantee you, Ashton Genty is going to make you stand up in your seat on Saturday. He's just going to do something cool that makes you go, "Damn, look at this guy." And I think Billy Bowens is prime for his best season yet. Steph Cobbs looks great. They have a couple of other young guys that you feel like are going to be able to contribute. The organization, the intensity, all that stuff right now on offense, it's noticeable when you're at practice. And now we get to see if they can operate in front of 70,000 people on the opening weekend of college football on national television and handle that pressure. That's going to be a big thing, BJ. And it's how do they handle the momentum swings, the adversity? Because in a game like this, let's say they win it. It's going to be because it's not going to go perfect for them. There's no way that happens.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be because of their ability to respond from adverse moments. Is it a cornerback that gets beat deep early and he gets beat on play one, let's call it. Well, how's he going to handle the other 75 plays on offense that Washington, throws at him? Those are going to be the key things in this game if Boise State can compete on the road.
We've got some comments, some questions coming in. We'll get to those in just a second. We are broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. We appreciate our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. You heard Leon Rice talking about getting his garage done. The concrete coatings, 5 times stronger than epoxy, home of the one-day install as well. So they come out in the morning, they leave about 5 o'clock, and they are done. And you can fully transform the look of your garage, your back patio, that ugly concrete slab. Get more information. They'll come out for free at roepaint.com. I just talked to Jim Sturk at Lithia Ford of Boise. They're going to be giving away 4 tickets at the 50-yard line, Jay, for the UCF game. 4 tickets. the UCF game at the 50-yard line, courtesy of Lithia Ford of Boise. We'll tell you more about it. We're going to be out there next Friday broadcasting from the back of an F-150 Lightning, the new all-electric F-150 Lightning. And in conjunction with that, Lithia Ford of Boise is giving away 4 tickets to the UCF game, so stay tuned for more information on that. Tonight, don't miss it, 7 o'clock. Super excited. Idaho Central Credit Union presents the Tyson Degenhart Show. We're going to be at the Esports Arena, Jay. I don't know if you've been down there or not yet, but the Esports Arena is an unbelievable spot. They've got this awesome interview set, which is kind of like my dream for BNN down the line here with how it looks. And we're going to have Tim Duryea and Mike Burns story time on the couch, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. 7 p.m. tonight. Don't miss Idaho Central Credit Union presents the Tyson Degenhart Show. Again, 7 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. Also, if you need some new gear, by the way, I saw that Boise State is asking fans to wear orange for the game up in Seattle. So if you're heading up to Seattle, wear orange. Go get your new gear at the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Free shipping, any order over $40. Or if you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall there on the second floor. Also looking forward tomorrow night. Jay is nicely agreed in his busy schedule to join us for a little bit during the BNN season preview show. You got to be a subscriber of BNN to watch this. But we're going to have Mike Sanford and Kent Riddle together for about 30 minutes. We get Jay Tust and Mike Prater together, and then John Mallory and Jordan Kay together as well. So about 30 minutes with each pair. 90-minute show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we'll kick it off with Mike Sanford and Kent Riddle. But again, you got to be a paying subscriber of BNN. So go use that promo code. You see it flashing across the bottom of the screen there, Game Week. The promo code is Game Week, and you get a 1-year subscription to Bronco Nation News for just $50. That's $20 off the price. So less than $1 a week for these exclusive shows throughout the season for subscribers. All the columns from Mike Prater, all the content, all that good stuff. So again, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., the season preview show. Go subscribe, use the promo code GAMEWEEK, and you'll get a private email linked to you, and then you can watch the show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We got some other comments and things coming in here, Jay. Let me see what else we got. It's Keaton says, Mike Sanford's breakdown of Penix last night definitely helps sober your expectations. Yeah, that is true. He showed about 10 clips and things that Michael Penix Jr. can do, and it was not again, Jay, I don't think people fully realize what we're looking at in terms of the wide receivers and the quarterback play here. I mean, this was the number one passing offense. I believe it was the number one scoring offense. I know it was the number one passing offense in the country last year. And, I mean, this is it's certainly going to be tough for a defense. I'm not even sure how I'd feel if you still had Skinner and Jones and Matlock.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could put a lot of talented guys on this defense, and I don't know how much better it would make you feel. These guys are going to have to play together as 11 connected individuals. The number one thing they're going to have to do is try to make Michael Penix uncomfortable, and they're going to have to do that without trying to bring too many extra bodies. Like they have to be able, that front has to be able to at times. I know it's not going to happen every down. That's an unrealistic expectation. But in a couple of key situations, they have to be able to put pressure with traditional pressure on Penix. Otherwise, he will carve you up all afternoon.
We're here at the James again. They open at 11 o'clock. You can hang out all day. Perfect spot Saturday to come watch the football game. They got all the big screen TVs, all kinds of drink and food specials. 11 o'clock, they got the sandwich shop downstairs, full menu. They open at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Be a perfect spot to come watch the NFL once the season gets going. And again, happy hour from 3 to 5. They're open late. The kitchen's open late. So we hope to see you at the James here moving forward. Benjamin says, watching from Vegas, may have to throw down an emotional hedge on the Huskies so my night isn't ruined if the Broncos lose. I am actually a huge proponent. I call it emotional risk management. But you basically tell yourself, just say the Seattle Seahawks, Jay, if they're playing a big game, right? You say, if you can guarantee yourself a win in this game, how much is it worth it to you? And if you say, I'd pay $100 right now if I know they're going to win, then you bet $100 on the other team. You lose your money, your team wins, you're happy. If the other team loses, if your team loses, yeah, you're ticked off, but at least you get $100 out of it and everything's okay. So emotional risk management is what I call it. You're certainly rooting for Boise State if you're Benjamin, but if Washington were to, the only problem with that is if they cover the spread, what if Boise State loses by 1 on a last second field goal? Then you lose, then you're ticked off and you lost your bet. But at least that to me, I'm gonna say 20. Like, for the spread's 15. Like, I think if Boise State keeps this under 20 points, Jay, if this is any score under 20 points, in my opinion, is what I would call a respectable showing on the road at the number 10 team in the country.
Yeah.
If we start getting in the 45-10 territory or something like that, which I don't expect, I think this offense will score some points.
Yeah.
But if you lose by more than, if Washington covers, I don't even think a 17-point loss is that bad, in my opinion. Maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But Benjamin, the strategy is not lost. I know a lot of people that do that. Braxton Feely, Sky says, going to be awesome this year, flying under the radar. Would love to hear Jordan Key interview him at some point. We'll get that done at some point. I think we just got the list, actually, of some guys we're going to be talking to today. Chase Love is asking for an update on Mason Randolph. This always puts us in a tough spot here, Jay. We're not supposed to say certain things we see at practice, but as you said, there was video, there was stories. The beginning of fall camp, Mason Randolph was out there as the starting center. You can put 2 and 2 together as to what happened. Andy Avalos did not address it at the press conference. I will say that if it was a season-ending thing, that probably would have been addressed. So I think you're hopeful that whatever's going on is not going to be something to keep him out too long.
Yeah, that's the standard. If something's season ending, we'll figure out. Or Andy said he'll update us, and so not much more to share on that front other than Garrett Curran is the starting center against the University of Washington.
Ton of Seattle Mariners, Baltimore Orioles talk going on in the chat here. Your Mariners are on quite the heater, man.
All of a sudden, too, there's not a team really in the AL that really fears me anymore, at least the way we've been playing. We got to keep it up, though. We got to keep it up.
Hey, we have a poll question that was added. If you don't think this is the best Boise State team has played in the last decade, which team do you think it was? Because Mike Sanford said on last night's show that this is the best team Boise State has played in the last decade. Jay, what are your initial thoughts when you hear that? The best team Boise State has played in the last decade, according to Mike Sanford, who coached on the sidelines against this Washington team last season at Colorado.
I mean, they're probably better than that Ole Miss team to start Mike Sanford's initial or debut season as the offensive coordinator at Boise State.
I think Ole Miss was 19th in that game. Yeah. And we're not just talking rankings. You're also talking atmosphere, probably environment, situation. That was a neutral site game. Any other top-ranked teams they've played? We mentioned BYU being 10th or 11th, but I think this team is better than that team.
I do too.
In terms of highest-ranked teams they've even played in the last decade, I mean, they haven't played a ton. I don't know who I'm forgetting.
I mean, obviously Arizona was a top-tier team when they faced off in the Fiesta Bowl. That the stage of that game was more important because it was the freaking Fiesta Bowl, but the environment of this one will be more hostile, for Boise State because it's a true road game at the University of Washington. And Mike Sanford's got, not that I would ever doubt he makes great points, but he made a great point that this is probably,
I think his words were the best team they will face in the last decade.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. It is.
We'll vote in the chat there. Let us know what you think in the YouTube. Let's see. Chris says stopping them in the red zone, forcing field goals, not touchdowns, the bend but not break. We heard that in some of the scrimmages. Andy would say they'd give up some yards, but then, bow down in the red zone. I think they
say bow down this week.
I think they move pretty easy between the 20s, so he thinks they can move the ball on this defense.
We don't need to hear those words.
Okay.
Week.
Why is that?
I don't want to repeat it. It's a part of Washington State's rivals fight song that Boise State happens to be playing.
Oh, there you, I knew there was some other meaning there that I didn't know about. Yeah. But holding them to three or not.
Hey man, those are those would be massive wins as well. Those would be the difference makers in this game. I mean, it really, when you're playing a team of this caliber, it's going to come down to small things. Who can be more efficient inside the red zone? Who can prolong drives by converting on third down? Washington was nearly unbeatable last year. In the one game that they did, suffer a loss, the team was extremely good on third down against them and just kind of stayed on the field. There's more to it than that, but that would be a key for the Broncos, staying ahead of the chains, limiting that crowd noise, keeping Michael Penix Jr. on the sideline. And on top of that, man,
you're a big stay ahead of the chains guy, by the way.
Stay ahead of the chains.
But stats show it, right?
Stats show it. It makes a huge difference. And for what you think that this team is going to do this year, they're going to run the ball well, right? And I think that, if you run the ball well, you're going to want to take shots. And if you get behind the chains, you really limit your ability to effectively do either of those. And so I think that if they can do that gives them a chance.
On offense, JR says, run, baby. Smash mouth football will be a Bronco strength. I guess in an atmosphere like this, in a crowd situation, you're going to hopefully be in some third, in terms of staying ahead of the chains. I asked this to Bush Hamdan, but it probably is a strength to be able to run the football in an atmosphere like this.
I think you go back in the day about this Boise State football team when they would go off and they would get, big victories like this. There was this misinterpretation that they were a real gimmicky team. You go back and I know that you look at the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma and they, pulled off 3 trick plays at incredible times and they executed them beautifully. But you go back to some of those other games too, and whether it be Oregon here on the Blue or Oregon State or any of those games, they ran the ball down people's throats. And so I would love to see Boise State get back to just a little bit of that spice, a little bit of that flair at opportune times and being able to execute. But it really does come down to, no, it's us against you. We're going to be tougher. We are going to take your will and move the line of scrimmage. And that's something that they did back in the day. And we'll see if they can do it again against the University of Washington.
Dylan must have been listening to my appearance on the show last week with Bob Bueller and John Mallory, because I said this very thing, 3 turnovers on defense. I don't know if it's 3, but I think you got to get a couple. You got to change field position. You got to turn 7 for them into 7 for you. I mean, you have to find a way to force a fumble, get a pick. I mean, I think it sounds easier said than done, but in my opinion, if you're going to go on the road and beat a top 10 team, your defense has to create some extra possessions.
Yeah. Oh, man. If they can find a way to get 3 turnovers, BJ.
I'll go for 2. Let's go for 2.
But they got to be +2. I mean, more than getting turnovers, you can't turn the ball over either. So that would be beneficial. But a lot's got to go right.
Sky thinks UW could be overlooking BSU. Talks of Heisman race, national championship games. Be a shame if a Giant Slayer came to town on Saturday. It was funny. I was watching Kalen DeBoer's press conference yesterday, and he talked so much about Boise State and the history they have and the tradition of winning big games and all this. And he was like hyping them up. And then at the end, he said, but we won't take them lightly. Basically saying like that they as if he was talking about an FCS team or something.
Right.
We're not gonna take them lightly. We're gonna have a good week of practice and be ready to go. And it's like, yeah, well, this is probably one of the better teams that they're gonna have. I haven't looked at their home schedule, but I know the Pac-12's got some teams, but I would assume this is one of the better teams they'll at least bring into Husky Stadium this year.
Now this includes his time at Sioux Falls, so I don't know if I can necessarily. This isn't an apples to apples comparison or whatever.
By the way, I'm loading in. I don't have it yet, but there was a Brian Harsin drop where he said, but Jay, what were the stats? What were the stats? And I'm going to have a little thing on this thing we can press. And we're going to have a little like we used to on the ESPN Boise days, dropping in a sound. Because I can tell you're about to drop a stat here, and we need some sort of maybe we get it. Does that work? I don't know. Little applause. I like that one.
All right, we go that one.
What do we got, Jay?
You go when Chris Peterson left here, the record he compiled almost looked like a typo. I mean, that's not going to be duplicated again, you feel like. Well, if it is duplicated again, Kalen DeBoer might be the closest thing. This includes his time at an NAI program, which I think spanned 5-6 years or something like that. But he was head coach of Fresno State, and he's been at UW now. But his record almost mirrors what Coach Pete did as a head coach when Chris Peterson left to go to the University of Washington. Kalen DeBoer is 90-11 as a head coach.
Wow. It's pretty good.
He's a good, and that's why
he's had good situation at Fresno.
Yeah,
he's had some good situations.
But he went out and got Michael Penix Jr. to come to the University of Washington, and he has turned that thing in a hurry after what was kind of a toxic ending from the previous regime, one way or the other. The empire crumbled quickly for whatever reason at the University of Washington after Chris Peterson handed the reins off to Jimmy Lake, who I thought, by the way,
you said 90-11.
90-11 as a head coach. Yep.
Wow.
And so he knows what he's doing. He's a really good coach. At times you heard that Matt Campbell was, really being coveted and targeted by the University of Washington, right before they hired DeBoer. But for one reason or the other, that didn't work out. And then they hire Kalen, and it kind of seemed like a plan B. Man, plan B is crushing it on Montlake right now. He had a great squad last year, has a great squad this year, and 90-11 as a head coach. You're nothing to bat an eye at.
I cut you off. You're about to say something about Jimmy Lake.
Oh, I did. I thought Jimmy Lake was going to be an awesome head coach. I did.
Where's he at now?
I don't know. Maybe back.
He's got a lot of money. He may not even be needing to coach right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I really did. When he was here, he was one of those guys. Like Kane Ione, right? Yeah, the way that those guys handle themselves, Bush Hamdan. You're like, these guys one day, if they want, they can go chase opportunities like that. I think just because of the way that they present themselves, communicate with players. yeah, that one shocked me that didn't work out.
Hey, our friends at Taco Bell, the local Treasure Valley Taco Bell stores, want to remind you they are supporting the student athletes at Boise State. They've committed more than $300,000 to student athlete scholarships at Boise State over the next several years for the men's and women's basketball teams. SON Management, the Nicolason family, they are doing a ton to support Boise State and the local community. So return the favor. Next time you're looking to go out to eat, go hit up Taco Bell. They're remodeling the Broadway location here just down the street. More details to come on a broadcast we're going to do from that Taco Bell location moving forward. But check them out, Taco Bell. Support your Treasure Valley Taco Bell restaurants. Our friends over at United Commercial Insurance, they can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. Check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com, 229-8222, United Commercial Insurance. Ridley's Family Markets, next time you're looking to head to the grocery store, 13 locations in the state of Idaho. They got like 30-something in the Northwest and surrounding states. Love the Keno location there, the Star location as well. Check them out, Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. And if you go use the app, you get savings up to 40%. Boise Dentistry Co., our favorite dentist, Dr. Chris Miner. Check them out, BoiseDentistryCo.com. 5 locations across the Treasure Valley. Give them a call, 906-1255, BoiseDentistryCo.com. They make it an enjoyable experience to go to the dentist. Check them out, BoiseDentistryCo.com. Our friend Matt Bauscher, I know he's pumped for basketball season. Bauscher Real Estate, the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com. No home is too big or too small for Matt Bauscher and his team, so make sure you check them out at Bauscher Real Estate. And Timberstone Golf Course, Jay, a little birdie told me today there may be a little the Bronco Open is what I was told the title is. But members, I think the entire basketball team, the coaching staff, going to be playing a little 9-hole tournament out at Timberstone. I don't know who I was told the first pick was Leon Rice. If they were going by best golfer, that certainly wouldn't have been the pick. But play Timberstone.com, book your tee time. They got new carts, new water stations out there, a lot of new things. If you're looking for a round of golf, the weather is cooling off. It's going to be perfect here for the next couple of weeks. Get out and check out our friends at Timberstone Golf Course. Jay, final thing before we get out of here. Let's see if there's any final. He's now an assistant coach for the LA Rams.
Yeah,
according.
I thought he was back in the NFL. Wasn't positive.
In Tubner, we trust. Let's see.
Tubes.
I think Washington stacks the box, forces Boise State to pass.
Yeah, I mean, how'd that work out for Utah State last year? They shut down the run, but Taylor Green proved that he can throw it. He made a number of big plays through the air. Eric McAllister, a couple of touchdowns. Latrell Caples had a 50-yarder. They even used that big 99 Scott Matlock down near the goal line, and he threw a little 1-yard corner route touchdown there. So, we'll see. Not a bad idea, man. I agree. Like, definitely, this is a team you want to try to make one-dimensional if you're an opponent of Boise State.
JR says Taco Bell for lunch it is. Thank you, JR. We always appreciate folks supporting the sponsors, and we appreciate our friends over at Taco Bell. Jay, one final plug here for the season preview show. We hope folks will join us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Again, you got to be a paying subscriber. You got to help us pay Jay and Johnny and all these guys to do these shows with. I know Jay is a very nice guy. We go over the time every week. He has to do twice a week. He's got a young kid. He's supposed to be off today, and here he is coming into the James to do this. And so I don't tell him enough, but we do appreciate you, Jay, for helping us out and doing this. And we've asked him in another busy night tomorrow night to jump back on again Wednesday night. So Jay will be one of our many panelists tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're looking to preview the Boise State football season, there is no better spot. Hopefully you already watched Jay's season preview. Yeah. When is the blueprint coming out, by the way?
This Friday, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. We'll post it on YouTube as well, but KTVB 4:30 to 5:30 this Friday.
Okay.
Hopefully it's a little bit of a different type of presentation or a take on fall camp.
And you had your Sunday night show. Is that available online anywhere? Yeah. The season preview?
Yep.
Okay, so check KTVB.com. Check their YouTube. They had a great season preview show on Sunday night. But the BNN season preview, he had all the cool packages and highlights and graphics. This is just going to be a bunch of guys sitting around talking sports. But looking forward to it. And again, you got to be a paying subscriber to join us tomorrow night. So jump on in, $50. You see the promo code at the bottom of the screen, Game Week. Game Week, pretty simple. Just type in Game Week when you're purchasing the 1-year subscription. It'll knock off $20 off the price. A whole year for less than $1 a week. It's $50 one-time fee, and we would love to have your support. And then I'll get you a free link or a private link to watch tomorrow's show at 7 o'clock. Again, tonight at 7, it'll be the Tyson Degenhart show. I think they'll probably have some fun. Burns and Duryea and Tyson Degenhart telling some stories. 7 o'clock tonight. That show's presented by Idaho Central Credit Union. That'll be on the BNN YouTube, wherever you're watching us here. So make sure you are subscribed down the bottom corner of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, switch over to the YouTube channel, subscribe there. We'd love to have you. They're getting ready to open the doors here at the James. The ice is going into the cooler here. It's going to be a fun, beautiful day. Come check out the James. Have a happy hour drink this afternoon after work, or come have lunch. They got the sandwich shop downstairs. The smoked salmon deviled eggs. That's my or is it trout or salmon? What is the deviled eggs? It's it's trout. Okay, I know it's a fish there, and you'd think it doesn't sound great, Jay, but deviled trout, smoked trout on deviled eggs is actually phenomenal, and you can't go wrong with the pizza here. Great pizza as well. Love the pizza. So appreciate everybody for all the comments, for checking it out. Everybody says they're all pumped. Thank you for the Fanatics. Taylor Green's still running down the sideline, 91 yards. Wouldn't that be any hints on the uniform combo before we get out of here? I'm guessing all white.
I'm going to guess all white.
That was the graphic we saw. But
UW's going to rock their colors on game day.
By the way, kudos to the sports information team. They looked up every uniform combination. 111-6 in the all blues. If there's ever any home game where they don't wear all blues,
agreed.
111-6 is the record in the all blues. And you, as someone that looks up stats, that probably had to take a little time to look that up.
They spent the summer looking that up, I'm guessing.
I put it on Twitter. I think it's in the game notes. You can find it as well. But every uniform combination, Boise State's worn. So have a great rest of your day. We appreciate it. We'll get some interviews. Jay will have those up on KTVB. Brady will have it tonight. And we'll have it up on the YouTube channel of BNN as well. And then tonight, 7 o'clock, the Tyson Degenhardt Show presented by Idaho Central Credit Union. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Live from the James here across from Albertson Stadium. He's Jay Tust. I'm BJ Rains. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.